You weren't always this numb. There was a time, maybe you barely remember, when the world felt alive, when you could feel things before they happened, when a sudden thought of someone was followed by their name popping up, when you looked at a clock and it was 11:11 again and again. You used to notice. But somewhere along the way, that part of you got silenced. Not by accident, it was trained out of you. School taught you that real means measurable, that if you can't see it, weigh it, prove it, then it's just your imagination. Daydreaming became a distraction. Intuition became nonsense. And the quiet signals you used to feel, you learned to ignore them. That wasn't education. That was domestication. If you enjoy this type of video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Think about it. As a kid, you were naturally tuned into patterns. You'd get a gut feeling, feel drawn to certain people or places, sense when something was off. But when you shared it, adults brushed it off. You're overthinking. It's just a coincidence. Over time, your mind stopped listening, and your world became flat, logical, predictable, but not because it is, because you filtered out the magic. Your brain still gets the signals. You still feel those strange alignments, those nudges, those repeating moments that feel too perfect to be random. But now you shrug them off like they mean nothing. Because somewhere along the way, you started believing the lie. If it can't be explained, it's not real. But deep down, you've always known better. You didn't stop having synchronicities. You just stopped respecting them. And the longer you ignore the whispers, the louder life has to scream. Until it throws something at you you can't dismiss. That's coming, unless you wake up. Let's get one thing straight. You've been lied to. Not by one person, by the entire system you were raised in. They taught you to worship logic, to kneel at the altar of proof, to treat the unseen as unreal, the intuitive as irrational. Why? Because a person who only trusts what can be measured is a person who can be controlled. And here's the punchline. The world you were told is logical. It's not. It never was. Life is messy, chaotic, surreal, but also orchestrated. Beneath all the randomness, there's a rhythm, a structure that doesn't obey man-made rules, but something deeper. That's what synchronicities are. Not coincidences, but cracks in the illusion. Every time something strange happens, a friend texts you as you think of them, the perfect book falls off a shelf, the same number haunts your days. That's not luck. That's alignment. That's the universe whispering, you're on the edge of something. But the system trained you to roll your eyes and move on, because if you stopped and asked why these things happen, you'd start seeing the truth. And the truth is dangerous. Dangerous to a world built on control, productivity, and blind obedience. A world where you follow schedules, not signs, where everything is explainable or discarded, where anything that can't be monetized is labeled woo-woo and tossed out. But here's what they don't tell you. Some of the greatest minds, Carl Jung, Tesla, Einstein, all believed in patterns beyond logic, in invisible forces, in synchronicity. You don't have to choose between science and soul. You just have to be willing to see beyond the cage you were raised in. Because the moment you accept that not everything is random, everything starts to connect. Look around. Seriously, right now, take a second and scan your world. There are signs trying to reach you, repeating numbers, glitches in timing, songs that come on at just the right moment, people who say things that feel like direct answers to questions you haven't spoken out loud. And what do? You scroll, you yawn, you shrug it off as coincidence, like you've been taught to do, like sleepwalking through a burning house. But deep down, something twitches. You feel it, that strange tightness in your chest, that spark of, wait, what are the odds? You just don't trust it anymore. You've been conditioned to doubt your own senses. That's not your fault. It's design. You were trained to live on autopilot. Wake up, check phone, go to work, get through the day, escape through screens, sleep, repeat. No space to reflect, no silence to hear your own thoughts. And in that noise, the messages get drowned. But here's the twist. The universe hasn't stopped speaking. You've just stopped listening. Synchronicities don't shout. They whisper. They show up in the quiet moments. Right before you give up, right after a breakdown, or when you're finally still enough to notice. They're like breadcrumbs on the path back to yourself. But most people never follow them. They're too busy waiting for some dramatic sign from the sky, fireworks, divine voices, a miracle. Meanwhile, the clues are right there in their daily life, practically glowing. But because they don't fit the logical mold, they get tossed. So here's the truth. If something feels meaningful to you, it is. That's the code. That's the compass. Your job isn't to explain it. It's to pay attention. Because when you finally start noticing, really noticing, you'll realize something that will shake you. The universe never stopped trying. You did. You ever hear someone say, "Wow, that was lucky?" Yeah, that's the coping mechanism of someone who refuses to admit something bigger might be at play. Let's get this straight. Synchronicities are not luck. They're not random. They're not cute little flukes. They're feedback. The universe responding to you. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. That means it's real. Because here's the hard truth. If synchronicities are real, then so is your influence. So is your energy. That means you're not just reacting to life, you're shaping it. And that's a terrifying amount of responsibility for someone used to blaming everything on fate. But science is catching up. Quantum physics, yeah, the actual hardcore math stuff, proves that observation changes reality. The act of looking influences the outcome. Particles don't behave the same when they're watched. Now zoom out. You think it stops at atoms? You think that principle doesn't apply to your relationships, your timing, your opportunities? You are not separate from the universe. You are woven into it. And your thoughts, your focus, your emotions, they send out a signal, like tuning a radio. When you're living in fear, scarcity, anxiety, you tune into chaos. Your vibe pulls in confusion, stagnation, breakdowns. But when you shift, even slightly, into curiosity, purpose, trust, the station changes. Suddenly, things line up. Coincidences multiply. You bump into the right person. The idea you needed shows up. The timing works. Not because you got lucky, because you finally started broadcasting the right frequency. But here's the catch. It's not automatic. You have to choose the signal, over and over, especially when it's easier to collapse back into doubt. Synchronicities don't show up for the cynical. They show up for the tuned in. So, what are you really tuned to right now? Ever wonder why some people seem to glide through life? They hit green lights. They meet the right people at the right time. Doors open, ideas click, things just work. And you? You try, push, force, and still feel like you're running in mud. It's not luck. It's not genetics. It's not because they're smarter or more spiritual. It's because they're listening. They see what you see. The numbers, the patterns, the whispers. But unlike you, they don't ignore them. They follow them. And because they follow them, more appear. This is how it works. Synchronicities reward trust. The more you act on them, the more they come. The more you hesitate, second guess, overthink, the quieter they get. And here's where most people fall. They see the sign and do nothing. They doubt it, wait for more confirmation, talk themselves out of it. They want certainty before movement. But life doesn't work like that. You don't get the map before the step. You get the step. And if you take it, the next one shows up. Flow isn't magic. It's rhythm. It's alignment between your internal state and the external world. And most people never experience it because they're too busy fighting reality instead of reading it. And here's the kicker. The universe is always talking to everyone. The reason you're not hearing it isn't because you're cursed. It's because you're cluttered, distracted, closed off, focused on survival instead of awareness. People who live in flow aren't special. They've just practiced paying attention. They've learned to trust small signs before they need big warnings. They act on gut feelings, even when it's uncomfortable. And because of that, life seems to bend in their favor. But it's not bending, it's responding. And it will respond to you too, if you finally stop ignoring the pull and start following it. You can't unsee it now. The patterns, the signs, the moments you used to call random, they weren't. They were messages, invitations. And now that you understand this, the question is simple. What the hell are you going to do about it? Because most people, they go right back to sleep. They get goosebumps from a synchronicity, feel the pull for a second, and then bury it under distraction. They hesitate. They wait for more proof. They want the universe to scream, and when it whispers again, they miss it. But here's the truth. Certainty never comes before movement. You want a clear sign? Act on the blurry one. You want more alignment? Trust the first weird little nudge. That's how this game works. You've been trained to seek control, to plan, to have guarantees. But synchronicities don't play by those rules. They demand trust over logic, presence over perfection, intuition over approval. And the longer you wait to follow them, the more your life starts to rust. You go stale. You drift. The light goes out, not in one big explosion, but quietly, day after day, missed signal after missed signal. And one day, you'll look back and realize the universe was always speaking, you just weren't listening. So here's your moment, your pivot point, not in theory, in action. That number you keep seeing, that person you keep thinking about, that idea you keep pushing down, follow it, act on it, today, even if it makes no sense yet. Because synchronicities aren't there to entertain you, they're there to redirect you, and the longer you ignore them, the louder the consequences get. So now you know, the signs are everywhere. The only question is, will you keep calling it coincidence, or will you finally start listening? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button.